only with the chairs, but with the APs.
Here below. I am live. Now, I'm live now. But no laugh. Who is live now? Just live. Tina Bach.
And encourage them to be nominated. We are going to go out and ask relevant sectors to nominate. The only person that was the chairperson, the previous chairperson of health and welfare. Unfortunately, she couldn't meet the criteria or was nominated, not applied.
All right. On your media statement dated the 16th of May 2025, you commit to the nation that when it comes to preference and equity, you are going to specifically look at race, gender, youth, people with disabilities. You include race, I quote. In the government gazette that you've released, calling for the reopening for nominations, you expressly exclude race. You only have gender and persons with disability. What is the reason for not having a race in the official government gazette?
Okay. We are live, ne? Yeah, I'm live. I actually want to take this opportunity to take questions. If there are any questions, Dumelang everyone out there. Just checking if you are hearing me. I can see you are hearing me. Microphone is fine, and all right. Can I take this opportunity to allow people to ask questions and then be answering them while we are waiting for 12 o'clock for us to start our today's lessons? Our today's lesson is going to be at 12 o'clock. So those who are already in, we can be asking questions if there are any. This is Laman Moyo coming to you live. Today we are going to be. I just want to present it for them. Waiting for questions. Into is share of course. Right. So as we get into this training, ladies and gentlemen, let's brace ourselves and have fun. Oh yeah. We. Aibo. Na into ibhizi ibonisa abantu iFacebook yami. We're waiting exactly 1200. Yes, we're waiting for exactly 12 o'clock. It's 10 minutes left now. It's 10 minutes left. So yeah, let me just mute.
Sanibonani bafowethu. Igama lami nguManqoba Ngema. Today nje sihlakaza nje lento ye-she-rap bafowethu, sihlakaza nje i-she-rap. I'm sorry nje just a bit ngisazama ukuvula i-presentation yami lapha. Please bear with me guys. Please bear with me. Introduction to she-rap. Mhlawumbe ke asiqale sihlakaze nalo leli gama leli u-she-rap lo. U-S umele u-safety, u-H for health, and E for environment. U-rap is for representative. So it's she-rap. Okay. Okay. A she-rap is an individual who's elected amongst your colleagues at work, a person who works with you. Like, have you ever had a class rep or a prefect? You know that person is from that same class, so he's the one who has the higher authority than other students. So same as she-rep, same structure, same thing. They are on same field, but they are being monitored by this person who you all or all of you have to elect in case something goes down. Okay, the she-rap course introduces the role of a workplace and health and safety representative, equipping individuals with the knowledge and skills to advocate for a safe work and environment. Okay, this is very easy, guys. She-rap serves bridge between the employer and the employees. Acts like a union, acts like the mediator of between the employees and the employer. Now the thing is, when it comes to she-raps, don't confuse it by the name, thinking maybe they are only females. No. The name she-rap, it's just safety, health, and environmental representative. Okay. Now the duties of the she-rap is just to collect the information from the employees to the management, and also take the directives or from the management to the employees. So he's the middleman, if we are putting it in a simpler term for these kind of things. Okay. The she-rap course introduces a safe working, promotes a safe working place or workplace. Okay, first of all, I want to discuss with you what is the difference between a she-rap and a safety officer. Okay, a she-rap is typically an employee that is elected by the colleagues. Remember that, but their role is to communicate with a safety concerns to the management, conducting inspections, and help resolve those minor safety issues. Okay, a safety officer, on the other hand, has a bigger role or plays a bigger role than a she-rap in terms of the safety officer is included when structuring the company on policy making and stuff and so on. But the she-rap just takes the instruction from the employer to the employees, from the supervisors or from the manager, just like that, guys. Okay. First things first, we know every session or every lesson you're gonna encounter in terms of OHS. That's our Bible here at Lusatech. We are very, very, very keen on it, and we ensure and we emphasize that every day, people should at least catch one or two of these sections. Okay, please, guys. That's the only way. Okay. It's OHS Act of 85. Act 85 of 1993. They're still gonna simplify the legislation later on. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry, guys. Okay. The thing that I wanted us to talk about are the terminologies first. Terminologies, the words that you're gonna hear now and then. So you have to be clear on what is it, what's the meaning of the word, like I should say. You have to be clear in terms of what is the direct or perfect definition for each word. Okay. Now, the first word we're gonna look at, it is hazard. The word hazard. Hazard is anything with the potential to cause harm. Okay, such as um, chemical substances, work processes, behavioral practices. Hazard can be physical, like slippery or like falling. Those are physical stuff. Hazards can come in chemical, like toxic substances, like gases, fumes, and stuff. There are biological hazards, which are associated with bacteria. What do you call those things? Psychologically, is there's a hazard psychologically, like if you are not treated well at your work or being bullied at your work, that's some sort of a hazard, because you can't actually work properly, so you are kind of like disturbed and stressed. So these are the hazards that you should look and be aware of. But the definition of the word hazard, simple. It's simple. It is a potential to cause harm. That's the direct explanation, and the easiest and the simplest. Okay. The second thing, or the second word I'd like to talk about, is a risk. What is a risk? Maybe one may ask themselves. Okay, risk is a chance or a probability that a person will be harmed or experience any diverse health effects. Okay, in simple terms, risk is the possibility of something bad. It involves uncertainty. Okay, if you are not sure about the thing, maybe as guys, we usually play pool. So whenever you're gonna put your coin inside there, there's always this written warning there. It says enter, play at your own risk, put your money at your own risk, enter at your own risk. Those kind of warnings that notifies you that this is 100% sure, but you have to do it at your own will. You see, so a risk, it is the possibility of something bad happening. It involves uncertainty. So if you are not sure about the thing to go left or right, you are at a risk, because you don't know the outcome. Huh? So those are the kind of things that are associated with risk. Okay. Incident. The third word is incident. An incident is an unplanned or undesired event that can cause harm, injury, or damage. Okay, they range from near misses to serious injuries or fatalities. It is an event either unpleasant or unusual. That's an incident, unplanned. Sorry, guys. It is an event. It's either unpleasant or unusual. It's not the same thing. Like if every time you go to work, you take rides. Now, since there was an incident, you have to take left because there was some unusual or unpleasant activity around that area. So you have to take another route. That means there was an incident happening there. Okay. Okay. But let me differentiate this: an incident and an accident. Okay. An accident is more specific. it is mostly associated with unintentional act or doings. It's mostly associated with unplanned events, seriously, okay? But the incident can be like can involve like unintentionally and intentionally, okay? You can, if I can, okay, the incident, let me do a quick example for an incident, okay? If I go inside the car, start a car and drive off, and me not putting the safety belt, or it was my carelessness mistake, but I could have prevented that, but it relies morely on human behavior, and yeah, it's more like that. But an accident, now the incident is like I didn't wear my safety belt, but if I get into another car and crash, that would be an accident now. Okay, incident is much bigger, and the accident is more specific of like how, when, and who. It's all mostly associated with injury, dangerous fatalities, and stuff. Okay. Now, I would like to go to risk assessment. That's where we carefully examine in terms of what really happened in like the chain of events. We are like following the chain of events in terms of trying to check on what went wrong on these chain of events. Now, okay, maybe the car didn't have brakes. Maybe why it didn't have brakes? Maybe it didn't put some brake fluid. So those are kind of things that we like to trace back and to find the actual source of the problem. To find the actual source, so you have to trace back by step by step by step by step by step by step. Risk assessment is about that. Risk assessment is a process of identifying, analyzing, and evaluating potential hazards. These include analyzing equipment, processes, procedures, identifying potential risks such as chemical exposure, economic hazards, and machinery malfunctioning. Okay, it's very easy, guys. Risk assessment. Just remember that it is a process of identifying and analyzing, evaluating potential hazards. Those are the kind of things you should expect them. Okay. Another word that I would like to talk about, it is protective. It is personal protective equipment. We usually call it PPE. This refers to a protective clothing, helmets. I'm sure everybody is familiar with this kind of PPE. Everybody's the goggles, the gloves, and those guys help you act as a first line of defense when it comes to protecting yourself. So PPE, you can find it everywhere, anywhere, even on labs. You get lab coats in police stations. They get their own bulletproofs and stuff. So things like these make sure that they ensure that you are safe on the other hand, but not totally or 100% safe, but they try by all means to just protect you and stuff. Yes, guys. The third or the fifth thing I'd like us to talk about, guys, it is the safety data sheet, SDS. They call it like that. It is a document that provides detailed information about the hazard or a particular substance or a chemical product. It includes information on safe handling, storage, and emergency procedures. Just like a box of match, it has the it's warnings behind the box. There are warnings that maybe keep out of reach of children, store in a dry, cool place. Those are kind of data sheets, safety data sheets that they provide you with in terms of how to use the thing and when to stop using it and how to protect yourself against it, because it's usually dangerous and stuff. Okay, I'm gonna post this introduction on our WhatsApp group. Please, guys, don't worry, be active. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. The last thing I'd like us to talk about: hierarchy of control. Um, Maybe let's explain the word hierarchy first. It's from top to bottom or bottom to top, from boss to employee, because from boss they are stakeholders, they are managers, they are supervisors until there's that employee at the bottom now. Okay, so that's the hierarchy or structure. So the first things first, hierarchy of control system, it is a controlling risk in the workplace. We try by all means to control the risk in the workplace. Okay, that's why I call it hierarchy of control now. It ranks risk control measures for the highest level of protection to the lowest. Okay, the highest level of control, it is elimination. Every time you encounter some risk, try by all means to eliminate. First things first, try by all means to eliminate when it comes to hierarchy of control. Try by all means to eliminate the problem, okay? But if you can't eliminate the problem, you can actually go to the second step, which is substitution. Substitution, you can actually substitute maybe a problem with a solution, okay? Maybe a risk with a safer method, okay? So you are substituting. If you've watched soccer, players do substitute each other. Not that the one is weak or can't play, no, just to strengthen the team. So they do substitute. So at all times, if you can't eliminate the problem, just substitute the problem, okay? The third thing I'd like us to talk about on the hierarchy of control now. First, it was elimination. Second, it was substitution. The third one, it is engineering controls. Just restart the whole thing, just restructure the whole thing, just re-strategize on what you're doing. Maybe I want to put a wall over here or a door. Now, I'm just thinking, how am I going to put a door? No, let me just remove this whole wall. I'm re-engineering the whole structure, if you get what I mean, guys, okay? Administrative controls, the fourth thing on the hierarchy of controls, the administrative controls, they are more based on how to do it, okay? Actually relies more on the management or the higher authority of the company. Okay, maybe if you go to Pick and Pay, find a teller there on the till, huh? You can't be there for like more than 8 hours. You have to rotate, which is administrative controls in terms of trying to move you around, because if you are doing one and the same thing every day, you are bound to do mistakes. So to ensure or to eliminate mistakes, you have to rotate. Those are administrative controls, directive from the higher authority or the higher management. Okay, the last thing it would like us to talk about on the hierarchy of control, remember, if you try by all means, the first thing, try by all means to eliminate the risk. If you can't eliminate the risk, substitute the risk. If you can't substitute, re-engineer or engineering controls, okay? If that doesn't work as well, it has to do with the administrative controls, which are the higher authorities, your bosses, your managers, your supervisors. Those are the ones who are responsible with those kind of administrative controls. But the last thing, it is PPE, guys. We have got PPE and we are very comfortable with it. It is your first line of defense on protecting yourself There are many sort of equipment like helmets, goggles, lab coats. Everybody in their workplace, I believe they kind of like have their own kind of PPE. Okay, even the doctors have their own coats. Even us as occupational and health safety students, or yes, we have our own helmets here, as you can see on those construction helmets, guys. For now, I'd really like to thank you very much. Please ensure that you go to our Bible, OHS, make sure that you know it by heart, and ensure that starting from section 7 down to 29, I think, yes, you have to know it by heart. Make sure, guys, and I thank you very much for now. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna let Mr. Moyo to take over right now, and please ensure, guys, that you learn these terminologies, you know them, but they are quite simple though. But ensure that you know them. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Who is there? Dumelang sanibonani nonke lapha ekhona. Igama uLamlan Moyo. My name is Lamlan Moyo, and I'll take over from where Mr. Ngema left. Mr. Ngema introduced to us occupational health and safety. Also introduced to us some of the terminologies that are very important. My job here is to come and now talk about the legislation that brings about occupational health and safety. So occupational health and safety, as it has already been indicated, it is a field, or it is an aspect that is in any field whatsoever. It can be in construction, it can be in factories, chemical factories, food industry such as restaurant. It can even be in schools, church, everywhere. So when we talk about occupational health and safety, we are referring to the health and safety that pertains to a place where people are working. Now, we all know where these things usually come from. They come from an act of parliament, right? So every time when these acts are brought about, they come in a situation whereby they need to be controlled and run by a particular department. So in this situation, we are talking about an act, a very important act that we call Occupational Health and Safety Act. Occupational Health and Safety Act. And this act is Act 85 of 1993. It is very important that each one of us get to be very clear about this act, because you would not be able to go in around if you are not aware of this act. What I'm going to do now is that I am going to venture into the idea of why do we need an act. Of course, we all know that as a country, it will be difficult to run the country if people don't put on acts and stuff. So the parliament at some point does put an act for people to use and stuff. Okay, so in our situation here in 1993, an act was enacted where they put an act which is Occupational Health and Safety Act, Act 85 of 1993. How does it affect us? Let's see how it affects us. It affects us in many ways, right? When an act is issued, right, people, when an act is issued, it is then issued to a particular department, so that they can be the custodian of the act. In this situation, we're talking about Department of Employment Labor. So Department of Employment and Labor is the custodian of occupational health and safety. So from time to time, they do send their inspectors to go and inspect. During inspection, they would want to find out if you are complying or not. That's where the issue comes. That's where us as SHIREPs, we come in. That's where safety officers they come in. That's where risk managers they come in. So all these professions they are working hand in hand in occupational health and safety because of the Department of Employment and Labor. Because from time to time they do send their inspectors to go and inspect or to come to our sites to inspect us. All right. Where exactly should we concentrate or what should we concentrate on when we are reading this act? Good people, an act is quite a voluminous book. But now we are going to be focusing on few things that are in the act, right? Let's venture into section 7. We're going to venture into section 7. But at the same time, let me share a slide here which is going to make it easier for us to understand some of these sections. So I'm going to start with this one in front of you, good people. If you check pretty well, you will see that I have just put in a document in front of you there. It's written Understanding OHS Act, right? Understanding OHS Act. One of the things that is there is Section 7. Section 7 says that it focuses on occupational health and safety policy. What is a policy? A policy is a document which, when as a company, you would want to have, right? So, good people who are studying SHIREP, good people who are studying whatever you are studying with us or with someone else, it is important immediately that when you get to a company, find out where is their H&S policy, which is health and safety policy, because that is the policy that tells you how serious the company is about your occupational health and safety, right? So that will be very important that the first thing that you would just do is to arrive at a company and find out, Uguti, but guys, where is your OHS policy? So the act says that, in section 7, it says that the moment an employer now has 5 or more employees, you need to come up with a H&S policy, right? A policy is very important. It's like a constitution. It's like a document that everyone needs to, from time to time, go back to refer. So that is what comes in on section 7. So make sure that people, you understand what section 7 talks about. Remember, if you log in into our LMS, you'll be able to download this document, right? So I don't think I am talking about a document that any one of you has not met. I will quickly do that right now. I will quickly share a screen which will show you where to find this document, because I wouldn't want to deal with a document where some of you are unable to probably see it. So I'm going to share a screen right now. My screen, as you can see in front of me, it's the dashboard or the part where you are going to find your textbooks or your guides, right? So you are going to log in your LMS, whether you're using your phone or you're using your laptop. Mina, here I'm using a laptop, so it might not look the same as yours, but eventually these things, they look alike at the end of the day. And here is where my arrow is. You can see my arrow rounding here. This one that is highlighted with blue, it's where we make announcements. And we are able to make what? Announcements. And then the other one here, which is OHS Act ebook, Lusatech. It's a very important book because that's where you are going to find the whole act, Okay? So please make sure you download that and keep it in your phone there or your laptop. The other one is Understanding OHS Act. This is the one that I'm using right now. This one is a summary. It is a summary of the bigger book or of the bigger act, right? And then, of course, here you have got your study guide, which is basically the study guide for SheRep. So, good people, when you log in, make sure that you are able to reach here and download these items for you to be able to read them right now, read them later, or in the future. Of course, once you are done with downloading, you meet introduction, which is the first topic, legislation is the second topic, and so on and so on and so on. So I thought I should just clear up the issue of saying I am not projecting something that you guys do not have wherever you are. This is something that is there. Some people might want to ask and say, but say, oh, where are the textbooks? Where are the study guides? Where are the notes? Where is everything? Good people, everything is here. When you log in, go straight where it says my courses, and you are going to find 3 courses there. When you find 3 courses there, choose the course that you want to study and then get inside the course. Announcements is where your teachers do announce things. And then here are the textbooks. Then here are the topics going down. They can go as down until you reach final assessment here, right? And while we are still on that, before I leave the issue of this LMS, let me also just explain what's going to be happening in terms of what? In terms of your assignment and other things, so that I can clear it up before others go back to work or have other commitments. Okay, as for SheRep, for now, let me talk about SheRep. SheRep, you are going to have 3 assignments. You are going to have 3 assignments, good people. SheRep, you are going to have what? 3 assignments, and they are all compulsory. Then after that assignment, you are going to have a final examination. All right. So when you log into your LMS, when you log into your LMS there, you are going to find these assignments displayed. For example, this one. Let me click on assignment number 1. Let me click on assignment number 1, and I'm going to display it here. I hope everyone is seeing it. Yes. What does this mean when you look into it? It shows that the assignment is going to open tomorrow midnight, right? The assignment is going to open tomorrow midnight and then closes on Friday midnight as well. So you have got from tomorrow until Friday to finish this quiz or this assignment, right? So that's quite a lot of time to practice. Moving on to the next part here is that you don't worry about preview. Yeah, it's on my side. Attempts allowed. Attempts allowed. It says what? 3 attempts. So if it's 3 attempts, it means that you can try, you fail, you try again, you fail, you try my last. If you fail my last, that does not need us anymore. It means you need a different department, not Lusatech Training Academy. We can't be teaching you and you fail 3 times. That would be very unfortunate. It means we are not good at our job. So in the spirit of being a good institution, we always give you 3 attempts for you to try and attempt things. Of course, time limit is going to be 1 hour, right? Of course, time limit is going to be what? To be in 1 hour. And of course, this is the pass mark. You will need to actually get a mark that is indicated on each assignment there for you to be able to what? To get it right. So for you to be able to get it right, you will need to have 24 out of 40 for this assignment number 1. All right. So I think I've made it clear here on the issue of this course we are talking about today. It's a SheRep course. It has got 3 assignments. You are also going to meet second assignment. With a second assignment, you will see that there's a log, which means it is logged. Why is it logged? There are certain parts you are supposed to study first before you actually start doing it. So there's a lock here. Yes, so you can't just do assignment 1, you jump to assignment 2 before doing other things there. Please make sure that you do those things. And of course, it is opening in 4 June and it is also closing 6 June. It's a 3 attempts, 1 hour, and 24 out of 40 is the pass mark. Let's then see the last one. The last one is assignment number 3, which is also going to be open on 5, which is Thursday, and closes on 6 June. Still same things. Of course, this one is out of 50, therefore you need to pass with 30 marks. So good people, if you have got any questions that pertain to this course, remember you are unable to answer on WhatsApp. We can't open WhatsApp for people to answer. That would be very chaotic. You are 1,000 points. So if you feel that you have got a question that has got to do with academic, please come here where it says announcements. Right? I hope it's clear to everyone. Come here where it says what? Announcements. This is where you are able to post your questions. This is where you are able to start a discussion topic if you want to start a topic. If you want to reply to somebody, you can also reply here. So this is a mechanism for us to be able to chat a thing. So I decided to break my lesson and talk about the LMS. I'll also post a video on WhatsApp where I'll be explaining more on the LMS as well, so that people can understand those who are doing SHIREP, those who are doing IRA, and those that are doing incident. Remember, if you are doing SHIREP, you attend all of them. But those who already have, let's say you already have SHIREP, you can choose to attend others and leave others. Now that I've cleared this thing up, can I be able to come back to what I was talking about? What I was talking about, good people, we were talking about the Act, OHS Act, and we said that we are starting on OHS Act, which is Section 7. Section 7 talks about H&S policy. Of course, we move on to Section 8, good people, and say, what does the Section 8 talks about? Section 8 here, we tried by all means to put it briefly by extracting the information from the main act and put it here. Look at what it says now. It says that, number A, you must try to make the workplace as safe, as healthy as possible. Those who have read the act, they know you meet a particular word or 2 words that say reasonably practicable. Reasonably practicable. It's a very important word. Of course, it means as far as possible anyway, right? So you must try to make sure that you provide a safe and a healthy workspace for all your employees. That's the major reason for this act, people, right? If you actually check all this act about OHS, this, OHS that, it is talking about one thing. You must try to make the workplace as safe and healthy as possible. Then the question is, how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we make our workplaces to be as healthy and as safe as possible? Number 1, machines must be as safe as possible, right? Remember I said this document, we try to simplify the English. We try to simplify the grammar there. So it's clear, it's straightforward. Machines must be as safe as possible, right? What does that mean? It means that every machine that you're going to expose your employee to need to be checked thoroughly. For instance, if I am going to hire somebody to become a helper at home, right? This helper is going to be exposed to washing machine, is going to be exposed to dishwasher, microwave, ironing, what else is at home there? A vacuum cleaner, and many other equipments that are at home. So it is imperative that I should make sure that these machines are what? Are as safe as possible. How do you do that? You make sure that they are well maintained. You make sure that if there is time for them to go for service, they must go to service. You should be able to find ways of creating a checklist which can be manually or verbally, for you to be able to check your things. For instance, if it's a vehicle, if our company is using a vehicle, we should be able to actually check if it's safe or not. Probably, how do we do that? Maybe we can be able to have a checklist that each one of us is going to use before even entering the car. For example, are you going to check for spare tire? Are you going to check if tires are okay? Pressure of the tire, the brakes. You're going to check the lights, the back lights, the stopping lights, the handbrake, and many other things. I'm just giving an example here when you are using what? A car. So that's one of the elements that the Act is instructing to say machines must be as safe as possible. C says risk assessment must be done by a competent person. So you should do risk assessments, which is something that we are going to talk about deeply tomorrow. We are going to talk about risk assessment in a deep way. So we are saying that risk assessment need to be done and be performed by a competent person. All right, moving on. What else does the Act say on Chapter 8? It says that staff must be made aware of workplace hazards and safety measures. So once you have done your risk assessment, then you need to communicate with your staff to say, guys, these are what we anticipate to be hazards at our workplace. This is what we anticipate to be risky at our business. However, this is how we think or we have managed to control such a risk. Or this is how we manage to control such a hazard. So it's very important that that is communicated. So where do you come in when as a sheriff? Because we cannot just talk generalizing it. You still have to come back and say, but Mina, as a sheriff, where do I come in? Yes, you come in here because you are amongst the people who are going to be making sure that such information is communicated to the rest of the staff. Right? All right. Moving on, we can move on and then talk about there must be a competent supervision. This is a very important part, that even if you employ somebody, whichever way you have employed that person, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you need to then teach that person, train that person, so that that person can be viewed as a competent person, right? Of course, training can come in the form of what you call this formal training. So you can take somebody to classes and they learn at an institution like us here at Lusatech, or you can actually take a person to an informal type of training. Maybe you take that person, sit down, discuss issues, make sure that they understand that they were being trained as a supervisor. Because a supervisor is the person who will be representing the CEO or the manager of that particular company at that particular moment. Therefore, that person has got what? Has got power. And that power needs to be controlled. How can power be controlled? Power is controlled by training, by making somebody competent. Are we together there? Right. Moving on with people, the last part or the last section of Section 8 talks about provision of PPE. Provision of PPE, it's a deal breaker in most cases, and it should be clear that people should not confuse PPE and uniforms. Right, a company can have uniforms. Right, uniforms is a way of trying to brand your institution. Like us here, we have got nice branding, Lusatech Training Academy, quite nice. You guys must order these at some point. We've got nice ones, red ones. Yeah, you must order them. Okay, anyway. Apart from ordering from us these ones, we are talking about these as uniforms. We wear these at us here at Lusatech. However, it should be a clear distinction if that's a PPE. Because if it's PPE, then they should be issued for free to staff members. And staff members need to be trained on how to use that particular PPE. However, if it's uniform, then whichever rule or whichever policy you have does not affect OHS, because OHS is worried about PPE that is issued in the name of PPE, not in the name of uniform. So it has to be clear. So if you are working for a company that at some point decides that you are supposed to pay for PPE, then you are actually in a company that is breaking the law, because the law is very clear. You should give people PPE, and it has to be free. And on top of that, please train people how to use PPE. I sometimes get questions where people ask that, how do you enforce, maybe as a safety officer or as a sheriff or as somebody who works in the OHS department, how do you enforce the use or adherence to PPE? One of the first answers you should give there is training. You cannot enforce something you have not impacted on people via education. People need to be trained first. So take people, put them in a room, train them how to use PPE, why they should use PPE, where they should use PPE, and so on and so on and so on. Once they leave that once they leave that room, they will leave that room knowing very well, Uti, why are they supposed to be wearing PPE? Why are they not going to work if they are not wearing PPE and stuff like that? Let's move on to people and see the other section here. Of course, we are going to rush to section 9. Section 9 discuss or talks about occupational health and safety, that of others, right? So what does it say here? It says that sheriffs do not only concentrate on safety of other employees or fellow employees, also concentrate on safety of other people, or what I famously like to call other traffics, because traffic is something that gets in, gets out of a particular place, right? So, what are the traffics that you should focus on as somebody who is working on OHS? Mind you, you have got your fellow employees, of course. These are everyday people at your workplace. But don't forget that you also have clients, right? You have good clients, people who come into your workplace for reasons of interacting with you. You have good visitors, also people who come to your what? To your workplace for reasons of interacting with the business. You also have other things such as equipment, plant, and machinery, which also interact with you. You also have management, right? You have got community. You also have animals as well. I'm talking about probably pets. People have got pets out there. Some people have got goats, some have got cows, some dogs, some baboons, and etc. All those items that they are owning out there, they might actually be in a position where they do some interaction with your workplace. Therefore, Section 9 says do not focus on health and safety of yours and that of other workers, but also focus on the health and safety of others might not be here. Then we can jump and go to section 13. There's a reason why we are jumping these sections, because they don't talk directly to us as sheriffs. So duty to inform, it's on 13. Duty to inform. This duty to inform, you will find it on section 8, where it tells you about companies, employers, that they are supposed to inform their employees. That also comes back to section 18, and section 18 tries to overemphasize that you must inform staff of workplace hazards and safety measures. You must inform staff immediately when you realize that there is now a hazard. It is very important to do that. Good people, let's then move on to section 14. Section 14 does list certain duties that we expect you now as an employee to represent yourself towards the employer. So if the employer has got duties, you also as an employee, you do have duties, and they need to be followed up. Of course, you need to be taking lawful instructions. You need to report all unsafe conditions. You need to report all the incidences and injuries at work, and you must always adhere to wearing PPE as instructed by anyone in position of power. Right. Then we can also move on to section 15. You can see section 15 talks about duty not to interfere. Now we are saying that if your employees do not tamper, do not interfere, do not damage any equipment or resources that are put or set aside to assist in the OHS or in the implementation of OHS. For example, fire equipment, first aid equipment, etc., or even some of the guards or rail guards that are put on a certain work spaces, such as elevated working platforms. So that's the summation of section 15, good people. Of course, we do have more sections as we go down to section 16, which talks about duties of a CEO. Of course, the CEO is allowed to delegate his or her duties to other people, such as supervisors, like I've already explained. However, you will see that the CEO cannot then relinquish the legal liability part, which basically means that you cannot then say when you are not liable. You are not liable for these acts. Now, good people, I will be handing over to next presenter, who is going to be taking us through these same sections that I've been moving on. But right now, she'll focus on how do we actually appoint sheriffs. What is the process of appointing sheriffs? What are the duties of sheriffs? Because we are all saying we are studying sheriff today, but the question is, what are our duties? What are our rights? And once we have been constituted, we need to form what they call committees. How do we form those committees? What do these committees do? So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mem Pumelele Khatebe, who will take over from where we left. You and I will meet in the streets of Hlangana Marenke Buffet.
Lungile. Sanibonani. My name is Pumelele Hadebe. So I want to take you through the process of identifying or appointing the sheriff. Okay, first things first. Now I want us to remember, I want us to also recap on what we have been studying with the Act. But before that, let's just make sure we are on the same page, that we all understand what is the sheriff. So a safety rep, it is an individual. So it is a professional individual who is elected or appointed by the workers in the workplace to represent their interest and concerns regarding the workplace health and safety. So this person acts as a liaison between the employer and the management. So they help to identify and address the safety issues, promote a safety culture, environment, and ensure compliance with safety regulations. So the sheriffs, they literally play the crucial role in identifying the hazards and the risks. We all know what is a hazard. A hazard is anything with the potential to cause harm. And then the risk, it is the likelihood of something posing harm. Okay, the hazard, it is anything with the potential to cause harm. But when we talk about the risk, it is the likelihood of that harm happening. Now, so sheriffs, they play vital roles. You know that I'm appointed as a sheriff, so I do not need to wait for someone to get injured on duty before I can say, let us try and see how can we fix this. So the first things first, even if it's your first day at work, after you have went through their safety policy, you check for hazards. There is one thing that you do: you check for hazards and do your risk assessments. So this is very important to know that you are able to identify the hazards and risk, you investigate the incidents and the accidents and the near misses. So there's a misinterpretation of these words. So first we have the hazards. Okay, let us just define those three words. Let me give you a clear difference about this. Okay, number one, an incident. We have the incident. So the incident, it is something that almost happened. And then also the near miss, it's almost happened. And then we have the accident. We know the actual term of accident because we always refer this term whenever people were involved in a car accident. So we're just gonna say that particular person had an accident. So that is how we differentiate those things. So the now let me make the practical example. I go to checkers. They were cleaning the floor. They did not put the caution sign, and then I slipped. But when I was sleeping, I did not fall with my hands or or land on my palms. So I almost fall. I just slipped. So if you slipped, there is an incident. I had an incident. I slipped. So there is how we differentiate the incident. And then now when we talk about the accident, it is something that actually happened, that I slipped and fall and land on my butt. So that is someone falling. So that is an accident. And then a near miss, it is someone I almost who will say I almost tripped and fall. Almost. So it is a near miss. So as a sheriff, you need to be able to investigate the incidents, even the near misses. You do not wait for the actual accident to happen. You investigate even the smallest things. You do not think there will be issues. And then sheriffs, they also promote safety awareness and education. So wherever I think all the workplaces, there's always there's always a thing about education. Everyone always learns something. For instance, we purchased a new machine today. Now we're supposed to start by training on how to use it. You remember during the older days, there were no grinders, so people were using hand saws. So if I'm using the hand saws, now we have thought that no, let us now use the grinder because the grinder is fast, is effective, and it will produce more logs than using the hand saw. So remember, you are there as a safety rep to make sure that you reduce the cost and improve the productivity, the production. So the employer cannot deny something that will increase the production. Let's say you were able to manufacture 25 logs of woods at the end of the week. But now, if we are going to be using the grinder, so we are going to have maybe we're going to cut down 50 per hour. So that production is, I don't know, it is that is exceptional. So there is no employer who can say no to that. So they will take a risk and invest in this idea of the grinder. So since they were using the hand saw, now they need to learn that we were using the power tool. We were using the hand tools. So it's the hand tools. The hand tools are the tools that do not require electricity. Now, if we're going to be using the from hand tools to power tools, now it's going to be tricky because people need to be trained. Remember, when you are purchasing the machinery, You must make sure either you're buying machinery, chemicals, or anything. Make sure you always have your safety data sheet. Uh, uh, um, when you buy the TV, in a box there's always a manual, so that manual, it helps you. So it's the same as purchasing any equipment. There's always a manual on how to use that certain equipment. So we make sure that we train people on how they are going to be using that particular equipment at that time. So as a sheriff, you need to be able to provide the training when it is needed. So anyone with a question so far? Okay, no question. So there was me trying to make sense to you what is a sheriff and what are the duties of the sheriff. Now we are going to look at their rights and the responsibilities of a sheriff. We have rights and responsibilities of sheriff. So basically, everyone has their rights and responsibilities. Remember, we said we have a right to work in a health and safety environment. So it is the responsibility of the employer to make sure they provide for us the environment that is health and safety for us. Now, the sheriffs also have the access to information, a right to access to information, receiving information about the workplace hazards, the safety policies and procedures. So remember, I said that the first thing you do is to check for the health and safety policy of that particular workplace. If it's not available, then you implement it, then you create it. So you have a right to request the policy. You have a right to ask about their procedures if you feel like, these procedures are way too beyond my control. So you have a right to question everything, or if it's uncertain. Now, so time off for training, receiving time off for safety training and education. So you cannot work with things that touch health and safety and say, no, I've been a sheriff for 6 years, I do not need a training. We always need a training. The Chinese, they develop new machines every day. So you can't say that, no, we are fine working this way. No, you make sure you learn something. As a sheriff, you learn a new skill every day. Even if it's not work related, you can learn something on our devices, on our computers. You can learn it anyway. It doesn't have to be something health related. So we learn everything, and then they also have the right to participate in safety meetings. So, what is a safety meeting? Someone might ask that. So, a safety meeting, it is whereby you are in a boardroom with your committees. So we are still going to talk about the safety committee, but in the safety meeting, the committees are there, and you are there as a sheriff. The safety officers are there, the management are there. So basically, everyone who is deemed important as you are is there. Now, let's come to the inspection of the workplace. Now, remember, if the inspectors from Department of Labor are coming for inspection, one, they come to criticize and make sure that you do comply with the regulations. So the regulations are the acts. We find them in the Constitution. Rest assured, they're also available on your LMS. We have made them available. We have Lusatech Act book. available on your material. So you can download this and make sure you read those acts from Occupational Health and Safety Act, Section 8 of 1993. So we are going you need to make sure you know all those acts from Section 7 to 30. You need to make sure you know all those acts because it is important to know how are you going to be able to work with the employees. So we were still talking about the inspection. So in terms of inspection, when we are conducting the inspection, first they cannot just say we are coming for inspection tomorrow. They always give notice. Department of Labor always give notice. Either it's food safety or it's occupational health and safety. We make sure that the notice is always there. So we give notice that to say we are coming to do occupational health and safety inspection on Friday. So if they are coming to do that on Friday, so we must be prepared. You as a sheriff, you as a safety officer, as anyone who is representing the health and safety of everyone in the workplace, make sure you avail yourself, you make time to make sure that you are there, you are following the inspector around like a lost puppy, you are there on the inspection because they will criticize and tell you where did you go wrong. Also, they always make sure they tell you of where to improve. And then the functions of the sheriff. So the functions of the what is are the duties? What are the duties? What are the functions of the sheriff? So first things first, we said we identify the hazards. So we check for the hazards. After we have identified the potential hazards and their risk related, and then we investigate the incident if they had ever been an incident in the workplace. So we do the investigation, we promote safety awareness, we promote education through safety. Um, Amongst each other, and then we represent workers in the interest of safety. So they said the sheriff, it is the license, it is the person who is standing in between the employees and the employer. So you are their voice in terms of safety where they cannot speak for themselves. So you should be a good public speaker to be able to be their voice. Um, and then you also collaborate with the management. Remember, we learned about types of managements, probably in high school in grade 10, that we have low management, we have middle management, we have top management. So fortunately, we fall for middle management as safety officers, as sheriffs. So you make sure that even those who are above you, they are not neglecting the laws or the regulations somehow just because they think they can. No, you make sure that they follow the laws and regulations according to the standards. And then, the now someone will want to ask that how do we appoint the safety rep? How do we go to work and wake up in the morning and say, this person is supposed to be our sheriff? Okay, so first things first, to be to be nominated as a sheriff, you need to be a competent person. So a competent person, it is someone trained, guys. It is someone trained. So you cannot say I know they like me anyway, so they're gonna appoint me. No, as someone, at least you need to have the certification because they will know that you understand, you are aware of what is expected to, of what your duties would be. So if you're not a trained person, the company should take you for training then. So now, so the process of appointing a safety rep, so the workers, they stay, they group together and nominate someone and choose someone who is going to represent them in terms of safety. So, okay, guys, let me just tell you the story. I know some of you know this. So, this one time, there was a shutdown at Transnet. I think I was still in high school. Yes, I was still in high school. So, uh, the community was not happy because I think the induction process was not done fairly. And then they decided that we are going to strike. So they went there and then they striked. So there was a strike. So it was coming from the other side of the town. So there's this thing that usually happens that people from this certain place, they cannot be hired unless they have certification or whatever qualification that none of the community do not have. So there was this man who was leading the march, actually. Well, fortunately, there was my uncle. That was my uncle. So my uncle led the march, and then when it was time